Thank you. Senator Budd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank the panel for being here. It's good to see you all. Mr. Sola, the November 2024 report from the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, it details China's efforts to deepen ties with countries across Latin America and the Caribbean. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter that report into the record. Mr. Chairman, if that's okay? Without objection. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I think it's important to view the Chinese Communist Party CCP activities in the Panama Canal zone in the context of CCP's broader efforts to further access Latin America's markets and obstruct American interests in our own backyard. Mr. Sola, would you agree with that? That you see the CCP activity and hopefully to interrupt America's interest in the region?
Definitely an economic interest, Senator.
I was able to travel there a few years ago to see this firsthand and see the CCP's encroachment. So in your experience, are there noticeable differences in port operations when they're controlled by Chinese companies and financed or backed by Chinese loans? And if so, would you explain that?
We have a wonderful example because we have a U.S. Port there, SSA, out of Washington State, that I actually worked on the development of that many years ago and helped develop that. That used to be a former United States Navy submarine base, and we converted that. As far as the two ports that we have, they're completely different. We have one as a major infrastructure footprint and also a container port that's moving 4 million containers a year. That is almost, I mean, that's really phenomenal amount. That's more than Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and you probably got to get Tampa and a little bit of Jacksonville in there to get that type of volume. And on the other side, we have a very small port, but it's a very strategic port on the Atlantic. So how are the operations done? Yeah, I don't know how they don't make money. I mean, if you want to come you know, right down to it, is if they've been operating the port for 20 years and they say that they haven't made any money, so they haven't been able to pay the government. That's what concerns me, is I don't believe that we're on a level playing field with the American ports.
Appreciate that. Mr. Kramick, what would be the consequences for U.S. trade and for the U.S. economy if access to the canal was suddenly revoked or significantly decreased for U.S. shippers?
It would be pretty catastrophic, Senator. And we have a good example. I mean, we've experienced that with the denial of the Red Sea right now, being able to use that. And as Chairman Maffei said, having to go around the continent of Africa, 40% longer voyages, significant more costs and crew, maintenance, fuel, and even emissions.
Do you have a ballpark on the difference if they're able to transit the canal versus go around South America?
I don't have a figure. I can tell you it in days, and it depends.
Days.
So it's about 30 days if you can go through the canal, about 40 days right now because we can't use the Suez Canal if you want to go and go from, say, Asia cargo going to U.S. East Coast.
Thank you. Mr. Sola, another question. China's pouring billions of dollars into infrastructure projects all over Central and South America. And one example is in Ecuador. China made a deal with them to fund a $3.4 billion hydroelectric dam. There's 17,000 cracks already, and there's a lot of corruption. Ecuadorian officials, they've been imprisoned, sentenced on bribery charges. Using that as an example for the region, you know, the strategy of China is clear to just take, and this is in the words of an Ecuadorian minister, the strategy of China is clear that they want to take economic control of countries. In Panama, for instance, it's about 7.7% of their GDP, as I understand it. So using Ecuador as an example, should Congress be concerned that China could extract significant leverage over Panama, given the outsized role and revenue from the canal that it plays in their finances? If you turn your microphone.
Yes, Senator, it very well could, and I believe that we are in a very fortunate position now with Secretary Rubio, who knows the area very well and also knows China.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, can I just say you should also look at the port of Chancay in Peru. It'll fit that pattern.
Thank you very much.
Of Chinese investment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Kim. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to